Good afternoon. I'm sitting at my usual spot here where I like to do some afternoon videos, reflections on Richard and after he passed, and for anybody that hasn't been listening to any of these videos, my beloved life companion of 48 years passed November 1st, 2025, and it's only been 3 months, and yet it feels like years to me. And I, as usual, kind of feeling depressed, and there are very, few times that I'm kind of back to normal, you might say, but the joy level on a spectrum of feeling any joy, that's down to about a 0, but I managed to get to what could be called normal and try to do things to keep me a little bit busy, just to have projects that I can get into. It just helps. And so today I stained the porch deck, and I'm not sure if Richard would have liked that because he liked things, just pretty much the way they are. And but it still has the what you might say the weathered cabin look to it. It's just a little stain that I put on and gave it kind of a clean look to it, but it didn't do anything. I wouldn't ever use paint on it. I just got kind of like a redwood stain, and it came out kind of nice, and I did the door and just little things that I'm doing, just home improvement things. And I haven't been keeping up with anything on football because that was something that Richard and I enjoyed together, and a lot of times I wouldn't pay too much attention, but he'd always keep me posted, and he had his favorite teams. Back a number of years ago, he Schmickles, no, leave that alone. A number of years ago, his favorite team was the Broncos, and then it became the Patriots, and then it was Kansas City, and I think he would be pretty happy to hear that the Patriots made a comeback. So I kind of learned who's playing. It's the Seahawks and the Patriots. I think, who knows, maybe he's taking a little time out in heaven to tune in to the game. But yeah, I also I had to go to the medical clinic today because I noticed my right eye on the bottom of my eyelid was kind of puffy and swollen, and I didn't know, is this some kind of infection going on? So I went. It's just one of the walk-in clinics, and I went in, and the doctor checked and didn't seem to think it was anything major. Didn't see where it was an infection, and she asked if there's anything different that I'm doing, or anything any cream that I'm using that might be causing an irritation. And I said no, but I've been crying a lot, and I told her, that what happened, and even as I went to tell her, I started to cry. And I could just, I just can't help it. I didn't mean for that to happen. I just thought, oh no, I can't even talk about it to anyone without crying. And she was really kind. She brought me some Kleenex, and I said, well, there you go. I said, that's what I've been doing for the last 3 months. And she said, well, that's what would do it to your eye. She said, because if you're crying a lot, it's going to irritate your eye, and the liquid is going to, kind of fill in the bottom of your eyelid and blah, 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 whatever. But it's not anything major. I just have to put a warm compress on, and I'm sure it will go away. But, what am I going to do? Just, I can't help crying. And I guess I'll try to not cry as much. But it happens. And I know other people that are going through grieving. They know what I'm saying. And so, yeah, that's kind of the update. It's kind of a short video today. I just was thinking, oh, Richard would so love to see the Patriots again, making a comeback, and just kind of keep him busy with some little home projects, and taking it day by day. That's all I can really do, is taking things day by day. And I had the first probate hearing with my lawyer, and it was no big deal. I think I talked about that. The judge just approved it and said, okay, you can go ahead now and proceed with the process, whatever that means and wherever that goes. I'm hoping to hear from my lawyer to find out a little bit more about that. And just taking care of my dog. And last night I started coughing a little bit, and I wasn't just feeling very well, and I started to think, maybe I better check with the cemetery and see if I can get a plot next to Richard's gravesite. And it's kind of like I'm already thinking a little bit ahead, like, okay, I'm going to be next, and I don't have any goals or any plans that I used to have when Richard was alive. I had Maui plans, building like a little, very small, solar efficient house that I wanted us both to enjoy. I always thought of doing everything together, and I didn't pay any attention to his age. I didn't think that he was going to leave at, he turned 85, but in August. So to me, in a way, he died at 84. Because he only turned 85 in August, and then he passed November 1st. So he had just turned 85. And it just seems to me like that just was, it was too soon for him, for someone that was so healthy all of his life. And as I mentioned in other videos, his father made it to 90, but Richard didn't want anything to do with the hospital. He didn't want anything to do with pharmaceuticals. And there's no point in thinking, well, would he have lived longer if he had been put on some medication? That kind of thinking just doesn't do any good. Maybe it would if he were still alive and I could try to persuade him. But I just think, well, I understand. I'm sure that if he felt he was getting near death, the last place that he would want to die would be in the hospital. If he was going to check out, he'd rather be comfortable in his own home and in his own bed. And I completely understand that. And I was thinking about that for myself. But I'd like to be able to shift gears a little bit and try to find something that I can look forward to, something that I can that would make life worth living again. And I'm sure I will get there. It's just kind of a day by day sort of thing. And you just do what you can day by day. All right, well, have a nice weekend and enjoy the Super Bowl for those of you that will be watching it. And take care. Bye-bye.